For centuries, the narrative of human ingenuity has been neatly laid out. The invention of the wheel, the mastery of fire, the rise of agriculture. Then, slow, methodical climb towards complex machinery, culminating in the Industrial Revolution, and finally, the marvel of powered flight in the early 20th century. But what if this timeline, so meticulously constructed, is incomplete? Yet, the persistence of these narratives, often describing remarkably similar technologies and aerial phenomena across geographically disparate cultures, demands a closer, more open-minded examination. We were talking about the so-called Quimbaya aircraft or golden jet artifacts found in Colombia? Small, intricately crafted gold figurines, dating back over 1,000 years. In the Andean regions, myths speak of winged beings or sky gods who descended from the heavens in shining chariots. The ancient Indian texts, the Vedas, and the Mahabharata describe elaborate flying machines known as Vimanas, fantastic aerial chariots capable of immense speeds, silent flight, and even interplanetary travel. While often attributed to divine beings, the sheer level of technical detail in some descriptions outlining propulsion systems, multi-level structures, and even specific materials is astounding. Are these purely allegorical tales, or do they preserve fragmented memories of a forgotten era when such technologies existed? What if the legend of Vimanas, like the gold artifacts of the Americas, points to a shared global knowledge, perhaps even contact with a singular, incredibly advanced civilization that spanned continents? The Nazca lines of Peru, colossal geoglyphs etched into the desert floor, depict figures and patterns so vast they can only be truly appreciated from the air. The common threads linking these disparate pieces of evidence, the aerodynamic shapes, the detailed aerial myths, the out-of-place artifacts, suggest a reach far beyond a single valley or plateau. They point to a potential global network of knowledge, an interconnectedness that defies the conventional isolation of ancient civilizations. The central question then becomes, how? How could a civilization a millennium ago possess such extraordinary technological prowess, seemingly without leaving behind the massive industrial infrastructure we associate with technological advancement? The answer, as we shall explore, might lie in a completely different understanding of power, energy, in the very fabric of reality. While conventional explanations suggest they served astronomical or ritualistic purposes for ground-based observers, the question lingers. Why such immense scale if not for aerial viewing? What if the Nazca people, or a predecessor civilization, a direct experience with flight, and these lines were their homage, their sacred map for those who commanded the skies? On the surface, they appear to be stylized representations of animals or insects. But look closer. These aren't birds, at least not any known species. They possess delta wings, vertical stabilizers, and even what appear to be rudimentary landing gear. Aerodynamic features startlingly reminiscent of modern aircraft, yet crafted by a culture that, by all conventional accounts, possessed no knowledge of flight. For decades, these were categorized simply as zoomorphic, or animal-shaped ornaments. But to aeronautical engineers and designers, their form factor is undeniably, strikingly aerodynamic. Could these be more than mere ornaments? Could they be models, or even toys, replicating larger, functional flying machines witnessed or created by their distant ancestors? Were these simply shared mythological archetypes? Or were they the fading memories of a tangible, if unbelievable, historical reality? What if buried beneath layers of forgotten history, obscured by legend and dismissed as myth, lies evidence of an ancient civilization that achieved the impossible? Not just millennia before the Wright brothers, but with a technology so advanced it defies our modern understanding. Imagine towering cities sculpted into the clouds, their inhabitants traversing the skies in magnificent craft, powered by principles we are only now beginning to dimly comprehend. This isn't science fiction. It's a journey into the tantalizing possibility that a forgotten people, civilization known only through whispers and enigmatic artifacts, unlocked the secrets of flight over 1,000 years ago. Prepare to challenge everything you thought you knew about human progress. As we delve into the lost history of the Skystrider Empire, a civilization that, according to chillingly consistent legends and inexplicable findings, truly mastered the heavens. Our story begins not in the bustling workshops of Kitty Hawk, but in the echoing silence of ancient ruins, high in a forgotten plateau, somewhere shrouded in the mists of what we now call the Andean highlands. Here, etched into crumbling stone, whispered in the oral traditions of isolated tribes, and hinted at in enigmatic artifacts unearthed by chance, are the faint whispers of a civilization known only as the Skystrider Empire of Arion. This was not a people content to gaze at the stars from solid ground. They were a civilization, it is claimed, that reached for the heavens, and soared among them, not with wings of canvas and wood, but with a profound mastery of forces we are only now beginning to theorize. For generations, archaeologists and historians have dismissed these tales as mere folklore, fanciful imaginings of agrarian societies grappling with the incomprehensible grandeur of the cosmos. The first compelling pieces of evidence began to surface not in grand archaeological digs, but through the accidental discoveries of farmers and prospectors. Beyond these tangible artifacts, we find the pervasive legends. Further east, across vast oceans, similar patterns emerge. The Skystrider Empire of Arion, if it existed, was not simply a local phenomenon. If the Skystrider Empire of Arion indeed mastered flight 1,000 years ago, their methods must have been fundamentally different from our own. We cannot simply imagine them forging aluminum or refining jet fuel. Their technology, if the legends and cryptic artifacts offer any clue, was likely rooted in a deeper, more esoteric understanding of natural laws, a mastery of principles that we are only now in the 21st century. The limited, fragmented records suggest the use of specific crystalline structures, perhaps naturally occurring minerals with unique piezoelectric or electromagnetic properties carefully aligned and energized. And exotic matter theories are slowly beginning to probe the very possibilities that the Aryans might have mastered. A civilization capable of manipulating gravity and ambient energy would possess a fundamental advantage over any other. Could it have been used for healing, for communication, or even for influencing weather patterns? Some fragmented texts hint at weather weaving or sky-shaping practices, where the Aryans could bring rain to arid lands or dispel storms. This suggests a deep symbiotic relationship with their environment, not just as users of its resources, but as manipulators of its fundamental energies. It could explain the construction of impossible megalithic structures that defy conventional engineering, the precise cutting of colossal stones with unparalleled accuracy, and the apparent absence of large-scale quarries or transportation routes. Imagine stone blocks weighing hundreds of tons being gently floated into place, guided by silent, unseen forces generated by smaller, handheld resonant devices. The legends speak of stones that sang themselves into position, or mountains that reshaped themselves at a whispered command. These might not be poetic metaphors, but literal descriptions of a technology we simply cannot yet replicate. Could there be a form of energy inherent in the vacuum of space, or a zero-point energy that could be tapped? If so, the Aryans might have developed a resonant technology to access and harness this universal energy, making their flight virtually limitless and incredibly efficient. Their technology, therefore, was not merely mechanical, it was interwoven with a philosophical and spiritual understanding of the universe, a holistic approach that blended science, art, and metaphysics. This complete integration explains why their technological legacy isn't found in rusting machines, but in enigmatic patterns, resonant structures, and the persistent, unbelievable tales of a people who truly soared. No fossil fuels, no moving parts, just pure, clean, energetic resonance. These crystals, possibly amplified by a precisely calibrated harmonic frequency generated through sound or light, would create a localized field that interacted with the ambient ether. Think of it not as pushing against air, but as bending space-time itself, creating a temporary bubble of altered gravitational potential around the vessel. This would explain the reported silent flight and impossible maneuvers attributed to their craft in ancient accounts. Beginning to tentatively explore in the realms of theoretical physics and quantum mechanics, this was not the brute force of combustion, but the subtle, elegant manipulation of what their texts referred to as etheric resonance. Imagine a world where the very fabric of existence, the ether or universal energy field, could be directly accessed and modulated. The Aryans, it is theorized, possessed a profound knowledge of this pervasive energy. They're skylarks or cloud weavers. The names given to their flying vessels in some translated fragments were not reliant on propulsion as we understand it, but on a principle akin to levitation or anti-gravity. Their craft, often depicted as smooth, seamless ovoids or disc-shaped objects, bore no visible engines or exhaust ports. Instead, they were said to hum with an internal vibration, a resonant frequency that allowed them to counteract the pull of gravity and glide effortlessly through the air. How did they achieve this etheric resonance? This concept is not entirely alien to modern physics. Current research in areas like quantum levitation, room temperature, superconductors. The implications of such a technology extend far beyond mere transportation. Furthermore, this mastery of etheric resonance might have extended into other domains. The Skystrider Empire's profound understanding of these principles would have elevated them beyond simple engineers. They would have been, in essence, master alchemists of reality, capable of transforming energy into tangible effects. The mastery of etheric resonance and the resulting command over flight profoundly reshaped every facet of life within the Skystrider Empire of Arion. This wasn't merely a technological advancement. It was a societal revolution, forging a civilization unlike any other in human history. With the very ground beneath their feet no longer a limitation, the Aryans reimagined urban planning, social structures, and even their philosophical outlook. Their cities, often referred to in fragmented accounts as cloud citadels, were magnificent testaments to their aerial prowess, defying conventional architectural constraints. No longer bound by geographical barriers, their society might have been less centralized, with communities spread across vast distances, yet connected instantaneously by air travel. Society that commands such advanced technology, especially one seemingly based on harmony with natural forces, might have prioritized knowledge and wisdom above all else. The Skystrider epithet itself suggests a spiritual connection to their aerial existence. Beyond flight, etheric resonance could have powered their homes, created climate-controlled environments, facilitated communication over vast distances, and even played a role in their healthcare. It suggests that profound knowledge and technological breakthroughs are not always confined to the epochs we deem enlightened. It posits a world where humanity once lived in a delicate, advanced symbiosis with natural forces, crafting a civilization that defied gravity and soared through the very air we now conquer with mechanical might. Their cloud citadels, long lost to the ravages of time, remain a tantalizing vision of what humanity might achieve when it truly understands the deeper secrets of existence. The legends speak of healing vibrations and life-giving light, perhaps an echo of medical advancements derived from their core technological principles. Their diet would likely be plant-based, sustained by the highly efficient, perhaps even atmospherically cultivated, aerial gardens, eliminating the need for extensive hunting or livestock farming. Perhaps their leaders were not kings or emperors in the traditional sense, but harmonic weavers or etheric sages, individuals deeply attuned to the principles of etheric resonance, guiding their civilization through balance and understanding. Conflict, in a society where escape was as simple as flying away, might have been less prevalent, or resolved through aerial displays of power rather than destructive ground warfare. Trade routes would have been aerial, facilitating the swift exchange of goods and knowledge across regions that would have taken weeks or months to traverse on foot. Murals might depict constellations as seen from above the clouds, or celestial bodies rendered with an astronomer's precision. Their music might incorporate resonant frequencies, believed to harmonize with the ether itself, perhaps used not just for aesthetic pleasure, but as a tool for their technology. Ceremonies might have taken place on elevated platforms, with participants seemingly floating during rituals, enacting a direct connection to the heavens they so effortlessly navigated. The very concept of up and down might have taken on new philosophical meanings. This ease of travel likely fostered a culture of exploration and shared learning, potentially explaining the common threads found in ancient legends across continents. Instead of sprawling across flat plains, Aryan settlements ascended. They built directly into the towering, almost impossibly sheer cliff faces of the Andean peaks, or perhaps created colossal, multi-tiered platforms that seemed to float above the valleys. Buildings might have spiraled upwards, their foundations seemingly defying gravity, crafted from materials that resonated with the etheric field. Perhaps a form of refined basalt, or even a composite unknown to us. imbued with unique energetic properties. Vast open spaces, impossible in ground-bound cities, could be cultivated as aerial gardens or ceremonial platforms, offering breathtaking vistas of the world below, a constant reminder of their dominion over the skies. Water management systems would be equally ingenious, perhaps drawing moisture directly from clouds or manipulating atmospheric pressure to channel water upwards through unseen conduits. These structures were not just dwellings. They were intricate ecosystems seamlessly integrated with the natural environment. Their levels connected not by arduous roads or steps, but by the silent, effortless movement of individual skylarks, the smaller personal aerial conveyances powered by localized etheric resonance. Daily commutes not in wheeled vehicles, but in personal flying platforms soaring between levels. From a residential tier to a communal garden suspended in the air, the architecture itself would have reflected their unique capabilities. The daily life of an Aryan citizen would have been one deeply intertwined with their command of the air. Their social structure, too, would have been profoundly influenced. Their art and spirituality would undoubtedly have been profoundly sky-focused. Moreover, a civilization capable of manipulating energy on such a fundamental level would likely have integrated it into all aspects of their lives. The existence of the Skystrider Empire of Arion, even if only in legend, forces us to question the linear progression of human history. The most profound mystery surrounding the Skystrider Empire of Arion isn't how they achieved flight, but why they vanished. How could a civilization that commanded the skies, that built cities among the clouds, and mastered the very fabric of existence, simply disappear, leaving behind only tantalizing whispers and enigmatic artifacts? Could the very technology that propelled them to greatness also have been their undoing? Perhaps a loss of knowledge occurred, where the intricate understanding of etheric resonance, passed down through generations, became fragmented or corrupted. Without constant rediscovery and innovation, their sophisticated technology could have become brittle, less efficient, and eventually beyond repair. This could have been compounded by a decline in population due to unknown causes. Perhaps a subtle environmental change that affected their unique biology, or societal malaise born from extreme comfort and a lack of challenges. Complacency, even for the most advanced societies, can be a silent killer. The mastery of etheric resonance, if misused or misunderstood, might have had unforeseen consequences. What if the Aryans didn't vanish due to catastrophe but by choice? Regardless of their advancement, no civilization is truly immortal. Erosion, geological processes, the relentless march of jungle overgrowth, and the human tendency to build over older ruins could have simply erased most of their physical footprint. The very elegance of their non-mechanical technology might have contributed to their disappearance. No vast factories, no extensive mining operations, no durable waste products. Their materials so attuned to etheric resonance might have dissolved back into their constituent energies when power ceased, leaving nothing but dust. The legends, the enigmatic artifacts, and the unexplainable geoglyphs remain as the only enduring echoes of a people who once commanded the skies, now lost to the profound, silent embrace of time. Having mastered their environment, and perhaps even the limits of physical existence, they might have decided to leave this plane of being. Legends sometimes speak of ascending or joining the celestial choir. Could they have used their etheric resonance technology to collectively transition to another dimension, another state of consciousness? Or even to embark on interstellar journeys, leaving behind only the most durable non-technological artifacts as cryptic markers of their passage? This would explain the lack of physical remains, the absence of widespread industrial waste, and the sense of a profound, almost ethereal disappearance. They simply transcended beyond our comprehension. Perhaps their manipulation of universal energies, however elegant, inadvertently disrupted delicate planetary balances, leading to an ecological crisis of their own making. Or, as seen in many fictional narratives, the technology might have been weaponized, not in conventional warfare, but in a conflict of resonant frequencies, creating destructive energy fields that could shatter their own cities, or even unravel the very fabric of space-time around them. A single miscalculation, an uncontrolled cascade of resonant frequencies, could have been enough to dissolve their magnificent structures and disperse their people without a trace. Their decline is not marked by dramatic invasions or cataclysmic battles recorded in stone. Rather, it's a chillingly silent cessation, a slow fade into the mists of legend. Unraveling their disappearance requires venturing into the realm of speculative history, drawing from the scarce evidence and the powerful lessons embedded in other lost civilizations. One prominent theory suggests a cataclysmic natural disaster. While the Aryans might have mastered localized gravity, they were still inhabitants of a planet susceptible to vast geological and cosmic forces. Imagine a massive volcanic eruption that blotted out the sun for years, leading to widespread famine and ecological collapse, even for a technologically advanced society, or perhaps a series of devastating earthquakes. Shifts in tectonic plates that fundamentally reshaped their elevated terrain, causing their cloud citadels to crumble. A cometary impact, a lesser-known but equally devastating possibility, could have plunged their world into an impact winter, rendering their sophisticated, etheric resonance technology useless against a prolonged lack of solar energy or a complete shift in atmospheric composition. If their technology was intrinsically linked to ambient planetary energies, a fundamental change in Earth's energy grid or magnetic field could have rendered their devices inert, essentially unplugging their entire civilization. Another compelling hypothesis centers on the inherent fragility of extreme advancement. Alternatively, their decline might have been more gradual, a slow, insidious erosion of their civilization from within. A more romantic, yet equally plausible theory suggests a deliberate withdrawal or transcendence. Finally, there's the simple, brutal truth of time itself. The narrative of the Skystrider Empire, confined solely to the Andean highlands, might be dismissed as a fascinating regional myth. However, what truly elevates it into the realm of profound historical speculation is the surprising appearance of seemingly related anomalies across disparate corners of the globe. These aren't isolated incidents, but patterns of inexplicable artifacts, architectural impossibilities, and persistent legends that echo the very themes central to Aryan's supposed aerial mastery. Could it be that the Skystrider Empire wasn't merely a regional power, but a global influence? Perhaps even the progenitor of advanced knowledge that spread across continents? Across diverse cultures separated by vast oceans and centuries, we find remarkably similar motifs. Flying chariots in ancient India, feathered serpents soaring through Mesoamerican skies, winged deities in Sumerian and Egyptian iconography, and accounts of skyboats or cloud ships in Polynesian and African folklore. While these could simply be universal human aspirations for flight, the recurring details of silent movement, non-conventional propulsion, and the celestial origin of the gods who commanded them bear an uncanny resemblance to the Aryan etheric resonance principles. Could these be not mere myths, but distorted memories passed down through generations? Fragmented recollections of a time when the Skystriders were a visible, awe-inspiring presence across the globe. Consider the ancient megalithic sites that defy conventional explanation of their construction. These outposts might have been small, temporary settlements for resource gathering or knowledge exchange, leaving behind only the most durable artifacts or influencing local cultures through brief, awe-inspiring demonstrations of their power. The Skystrider Empire, if it truly existed and held a global influence, suggests a profound revaluation of humanity's past, implying periods of advanced technological capability that were then lost. Perhaps deliberately, perhaps catastrophically. The global footprint, though faint, urges us to consider that the story of human progress is far less linear and far more cyclical than we have been led to believe. This would explain why no grand Aryan cities have been found outside their hypothesized Andean heartland. Yet their influence, or echoes of their technology, appear globally. Places like Baalbek in Lebanon, with its titanic stone of the pregnant woman, weighing over 1,000 tons, perfectly cut and seemingly abandoned mid-transport. Beyond the aforementioned gold plains of Colombia, there are the Baghdad Battery. It's an ancient clay pot with a copper cylinder and iron rod that could have generated a small electrical current found in Iraq and dating back over 2,000 years. Or the Antikythera mechanism, a complex ancient Greek astronomical calculator recovered from a shipwreck. and dating to the 2nd century BCE, whose intricate gearwork far surpasses anything thought possible for its era. While often explained as isolated flashes of genius or misunderstood ritualistic objects, in the context of Arion's supposed global reach, they could be interpreted as residual fragments of a wider technological understanding, or even discarded tools from Arion outposts, or the precise, almost laser-cut stonework of Puma Punku in Bolivia, where incredibly intricate and interlocking blocks of granite and diorite, some too hard for copper tools, fit together with microscopic precision. Conventional archaeology struggles to explain how these immense stones were quarried, transported, and assembled by cultures believed to be without advanced machinery. But if the Aryans possessed etheric resonance technology that could manipulate gravity, these impossible constructions become entirely plausible. Imagine colossal blocks gently levitated, precisely guided into place by unseen forces. The global distribution of such sites, from the pyramids of Egypt to the Moai of Easter Island, hints at a shared, perhaps even singular, source of advanced knowledge. Then there are the enigmatic, out-of-place artifacts found worldwide. The most compelling evidence of a global footprint lies in the consistent recurrence of aerial myths and symbols. Perhaps Aryan established outposts or colonies in strategically important locations, utilizing their aerial technology to overcome geographical barriers. The idea of a highly advanced ancient civilization with a global reach challenges the very foundations of conventional history, which largely posits independent development and diffusion of ideas through slow terrestrial means. The most puzzling aspect of the Skystrider Empire of Arion, beyond their inexplicable mastery of flight, is the almost complete erasure of their legacy from mainstream historical records. If a civilization commanded the skies 1,000 years ago, influencing cultures across continents, why is there no definitive archaeological proof? No universally recognized texts? No unbroken line of historical memory? The silence of the sages is as profound as their supposed technological prowess, raising questions about how such monumental achievements could simply vanish from human collective consciousness. One primary reason lies in the nature of their technology itself. 1,000 years, in geological terms, is a mere blink. Yet, for human constructions, it's enough for entire cities to be consumed by jungles, buried by deserts, or swallowed by rising seas. The materials they used, if not designed for extreme longevity in a post-synergetic state, would simply succumb to the elements. The relentless processes of weathering, tectonic shifts, and biological decay ensure that only the most robust and fortunate artifacts survive the passage of millennia. If Arion's etheric resonance was indeed based on manipulating subtle energies, utilizing perhaps specific crystalline structures and non-mechanical principles, their technology would leave little to no conventional archaeological footprint. Before widespread literacy and the printing press, information was primarily oral, passed down through generations. Such knowledge is incredibly fragile, susceptible to distortion, misunderstanding, and deliberate suppression. The very unexplained phenomena that continue to baffle archaeologists, the impossible stone cuttings, the out-of-place artifacts, the consistent aerial myths, may not be isolated puzzles, but fragmented pieces of a single, coherent, and profoundly suppressed historical narrative. The reason we forgot the Skystrider Empire might be that their story lies encoded not in traditional history books, but in the enduring mysteries of our planet itself, waiting for us to finally put the pieces together. If the Aryans' true history became intertwined with mythology, exaggerated over centuries, or deliberately obscured by subsequent cultures that sought to establish their own dominant narratives, the truth would easily be lost in translation. Perhaps a later, more primitive society, encountering their remnants, simply couldn't comprehend what they saw and attributed it to gods or demons. We search for ruins of factories, discarded machinery, vast industrial complexes, the hallmarks of our own technological advancement. If the Aryans truly transcended or decided to step back from influencing human development, they might have purposefully erased their more obvious traces, leaving behind only the most enigmatic clues as a test or a veiled message for future generations. This would imply a profound level of foresight and control, ensuring that their legacy remained hidden until humanity was, perhaps, ready to rediscover their truths. The sages may have chosen silence, not because they were forgotten, but because they chose to be. The Aryans, however, might have operated in a way that produced minimal waste, used recyclable or naturally integrated materials, and whose power source left no carbon footprint. Their skylarks might have dissolved back into basic elements or simply ceased to function without their intricate energetic resonance. If their tools and structures were designed to resonate with fundamental energies, they might simply decompose or become inert, leaving behind nothing but carefully carved stones that now baffle us. Secondly, the cataclysmic nature of their disappearance, whether natural or self-inflicted, could have been so absolute that it eradicated most direct evidence. A civilization built on high, perhaps even floating, platforms would be particularly vulnerable to massive geological upheavals, widespread seismic activity, or intense atmospheric events. If the very principles of their technology went awry, it could have triggered a cascade of destruction that literally pulverized their cities or rendered them unrecognizable. Such an event would leave behind vast, unidentifiable debris fields, or simply cause structures to revert to their base materials. Then there's the powerful influence of time and natural erosion. Crucially, the nature of knowledge transmission in ancient times plays a significant role. Finally, consider the possibility of deliberate concealment or withdrawal. The silence surrounding Arion is not necessarily an absence of evidence, but perhaps a misinterpretation of it. The notion that a civilization mastered flight over 1,000 years ago, only to vanish into the annals of forgotten history, that carries profound implications that reverberate far beyond mere academic curiosity. If the Skystrider Empire of Arion truly existed, utilizing principles of etheric resonance, it wouldn't just add a new chapter to humanity's past. It would fundamentally rewrite our understanding of technological progression, human potential, and the cyclical nature of knowledge. Our current historical paradigm posits a continuous, albeit sometimes uneven, ascent from basic tools to complex machinery, culminating in the industrial and digital ages. What we currently dismiss as fanciful folklore, tales of flying gods, shining chariots, and celestial journeys, might in fact be distorted, poeticized memories of real-world events. Imagine a clean, virtually limitless energy source that taps into the universal energy field, rendering fossil fuels obsolete. If the Aryans truly lived in harmonious symbiosis with their technology, drawing energy from the ether and building cities that integrated with natural landscapes, provides a powerful counter-narrative to our often extractive and destructive relationship with the planet. But the compelling patterns of evidence, however fragmented, demand that we open our minds to a grander, more complex tapestry of human history. The challenge now is not to simply dismiss these whispers as fantasy, but to listen intently to analyze with new perspectives if the Aryans truly soared above the clouds. Their silent disappearance serves as both a tantalizing enigma and a profound cautionary tale. It underscores the fragility of even the most advanced knowledge and the relentless, unforgiving march of time. But more importantly, it offers a glimmer of hope, a vision of humanity living in harmony with fundamental forces, achieving feats that still seem like science fiction to us. The lost secrets of Arion beckon us not just to look back at history, but to look forward with newfound wonder, recognizing that the greatest discoveries might not lie in the stars above, but beneath the very ground we walk, waiting to be rediscovered, and to consider the truly unbelievable truth that our ancestors may have reached for the skies not just in dreams, but in breathtaking silent flight 1,000 years before we ever thought possible. Their story could serve as a historical example of a technologically advanced society that achieved balance, a stark contrast to many modern challenges of pollution, resource depletion, and climate change. The story of the Skystrider Empire of Arion, a civilization that allegedly mastered flight a millennium ago through principles like etheric resonance, challenges the very foundations of our knowledge. It asks us to consider whether the timeline of human ingenuity is linear, or if it is a cyclical dance of rise and fall, discovery and forgetting. From the enigmatic gold artifacts of Colombia to the colossal, impossibly cut stones of Baalbek, and the worldwide legends of flying chariots and sky gods, the echoes of Arion demand our attention. It might suggest that true advancement lies not just in conquering nature, but in understanding and resonating with its fundamental forces. Consider transportation systems that defy gravity, leading to silent, efficient travel with minimal environmental impact. It serves as a humbling reminder that even profound technological mastery offers no guaranteed immortality. Whether through self-destruction, environmental catastrophe, or a deliberate withdrawal, the Aryan tale underscores that knowledge once gained can be incredibly vulnerable to loss. This instills a crucial lesson for our own era: the imperative to preserve, transmit, and constantly challenge our understanding of history, lest invaluable lessons from our past simply fade into forgotten whispers. The Aryan blueprint, however fragmented, could inspire entirely new fields of scientific inquiry, pushing us beyond our current reliance on combustion and mechanics into a deeper understanding of energy, vibration, and matter itself. This isn't just about recreating their craft, it's about understanding the underlying universal principles they mastered. The Vimanas of India, the feathered serpents of Mesoamerica, the sky gods of countless cultures. These might not be mere figments of imagination, but echoes of Aryan's global presence and their awe-inspiring aerial capabilities. This shift would transform archaeology from a study of solely ground-based cultures to one that must consider the very real possibility of ancient aerial influences. It could unlock entirely new avenues of research into existing ancient texts and artifacts, reinterpreting their symbolic meanings through a new, aerially aware lens. The Aryans, however, suggest a non-linear, even cyclical, pattern of innovation. It implies that advanced knowledge can be gained, lost, and potentially rediscovered. This challenges the very idea that we are at the apex of human technological achievement, opening the possibility that some past civilizations reached incredible heights through entirely different pathways we have yet to fully explore or even conceptualize. It suggests that progress isn't a one-way street, and that much of our past might be far more sophisticated than we dare to imagine. Firstly, it shatters the widely accepted linear model of technological development. Secondly, the existence of the Aryans would force a radical revaluation of ancient myths and legends. Moreover, the principles of etheric resonance, if genuinely discovered and utilized by the Aryans, could hold keys to future technological breakthroughs for our own civilization. The implications also extend to our understanding of human potential and interaction with the environment. Finally, the very fact that such a civilization could be lost to time forces a re-examination of the fragility of knowledge and the impermanence of even the grandest empires. The Skystrider Empire of Aryan remains, for now, a haunting whisper, an enigma etched into gold and stone and woven into the very fabric of ancient myth. We stand at a crossroads of understanding, peering into the shadows of a past far more intricate and mysterious than conventional history allows. This isn't merely an academic exercise. It's an invitation to expand our consciousness, to recognize the boundless potential of ancient minds, and to question the narratives we've long taken for granted.